Hi. So today I thought that I would talk a little bit about a phenomenon that I've seen where a lot of people, when they think that they're going to start cleaning up their act in terms of the products that they're using, think that the first thing that they should do is to get rid of all of their MAC products. And I think that that's interesting because in truth, a lot of the MAC products that are the most popular, or some of the other ones as well, tend to be ones that actually have ingredients lists that are at least as clean, or in some cases cleaner than the ingredient list from products that are classified as so-called clean beauty. So it certainly is the case that there's some MAC products that are problematic in terms of their ingredients, and that I've had issues with some of the MAC products, but other MAC products are ones that I've done really well with, and that I think that other people might do well to consider using it as well. So what I thought I would do is to talk about some of the more popular MAC products that are out there, or the ones that I've tried, and to talk about what they have in them and how I've done with them, so that you can decide for yourself whether these are products that you might want to continue to use. I have an article about this on my website, which is called Living Clean in a Dirty World. So there's no need for you to take notes, and if you want some more details, then you can go ahead and take a look at that. Now, the first thing that I want to acknowledge is that there is no one definition of what clean beauty is out there. Rather, there's a lot of different definitions, which can be very confusing. Some people that I know think that clean beauty means that a product includes only natural ingredients and that it is so pure that you can feel good about actually ingesting large quantities of that. And if that's the kind of product that you're interested in, then you may be able to find a few brands that offer that on the market. But that would not be MAC, because MAC definitely includes almost all synthetic ingredients, and it's not a product that I would want to eat in large quantities. So on the other hand, there are some people out there that think that clean beauty is a scam, maybe, or that it's fear-mongering and that pretty much everything that's on the market is perfectly fine and it's not something that we should be worrying about. Now, somewhere in the middle of those two definitions are the definition of clean from companies that try to look at all of the ingredient list and say that some synthetic ingredients are better than others, and that in some cases natural ingredients can be worse than synthetic ingredients, and that what they want to do is to figure out how the product rates compared to other products in terms of its likelihood to either cause irritation or to potentially cause worse harm than that. So those kinds of organizations, the most prominent one of that is Environmental Working Group, which is EWG. And what they do is they, for both ingredients and for products, they will attempt to give them a 1 to 10 rating, where 1 is perfectly safe or perfectly okay, and 10 is a product or an ingredient that you want to shy away from. So for those kinds of ratings, I've actually found them to be very helpful in terms of predicting whether or not products are going to be annoying to me and whether they're going to be something that I enjoy using. So I look at those pretty carefully with some caveats. Okay, so now let's talk about MAC in particular. And I wanted to start with MAC for this project because MAC is a brand that I have been using for many years, going back about 25 years ago to the turn of the millennium, when it was quite popular. And though it wasn't the case that I could tolerate all of the MAC products, even back then when my skin was still quite sensitive, that was one of the few department store brands, or brands in general, that I did okay with. So, and I think that since that time they've gotten even more clean. So on their website right now, what they state is, let's be clear, MAC is devoted to creating products using safe, good-for-skin ingredients. MAC products are formulated without phthalates, parabens, formaldehyde donors, SLS, hydroquinone, triclosan, DNC yellow number 1, ethanolamines, and PABA. So we don't need to focus on any of those, but there are a few other kinds of ingredients that MAC products do have that we should be aware of, I think, before we start out. So the first thing is synthetic colors, and MAC is really a line that's based on the whole idea of it having great colors and a great color selection. And pretty much everything that they offer has synthetic colors in it. So if you're trying to avoid synthetic colors, then this is definitely not the line for you. If that's the case, then a line that I would suggest is called Ritual Defy. I think that they have fantastic colors, and they are all natural, and that's one of my favorite brands, and I use them all the time. So I would send you that way. But in terms of MAC, pretty much all of their products have synthetic colors. Now, synthetic colors I have not found to be really very annoying to my skin, and I think that may be the case in general. I do think that it might be the case that synthetic colors have some potential to slightly increase the risk of diseases like cancer, but I tend to think it's probably fairly small. Now, I think if you're wearing bright colored lipsticks like I am today on a regular basis, that might be something to be a little bit wary about. But I don't feel like I wear those colored lipsticks that much. And I also think it's a small enough risk that I personally am willing to take it. But it's something that everybody has to decide for themselves. But let's start out with lip products. One of the products from MAC that I like the most is the MAC Prep Plus Prime lip product that you put on before your lipstick. So particularly when I'm dealing with MAC lipsticks, which in some cases can be quite dry, I think this is a really nice product. So it just goes on really easily. And according to EWG, they've looked at this product and they've given it a 1, but because it includes a cyclic silicone in it, it would be not perceived to be acceptable by either Credo or Clean at Sephora. So it really depends on how you view these particular individual ingredients in terms of whether or not you perceive these products to be clean or not. So what I thought I'd talk about next is the MAC matte lipsticks, because those are among their most popular. So I have here 3 shades, and I thought I'd swatch the shades for you just since we're going through this. At the top we have here the shade Velvet Teddy, then we have a shade called Mare, and then at the bottom we have one called Chili. So these are all super popular MAC shades. So why don't I try putting on the shade Mare. And I think the nice thing is that if you put this silicone-based primer on, the lipsticks go on quite easily and they don't really feel as dry as they otherwise would. But I used to think that MAC lipsticks were way too dry for me to wear, but I don't feel like that with the primer on anymore. Surprisingly, for many people, the matte lipsticks tend to be the cleanest products that MAC offers, and just as clean as most of the other supposedly clean lipsticks that are on the market. Now, the next lipsticks that I want to talk about are the Satin Lipsticks, and this has a slightly different formula than the matte ones, and it doesn't include any silicone, but I have found them to be fairly similar or almost identical in terms of how they appear on the lips and on my hands. So on the bottom here we have the shade Twig, and then up on the side here we have the shade Good Health. So let's try putting on that Good Health one. Both of these lipsticks, the satin ones and the matte ones, meet the criteria as being clean at Sephora. They meet the Credo criteria, they meet the EU criteria, and they really meet, the criteria of almost all of the commercial organizations that I've seen in terms of being ones that are appropriate for people that want to be using cleaner products. Now, the next lipstick that I want to look at is the MAC Amplified Lipstick. So I have the shade called Half and Half, and that is on the other side of my arm over here. So let me throw this on real fast. And I'm not sure that I like this color that much. It's a lot like the Velvet Teddy color. But I do feel like I like the formula of this one. It's quite a little bit smoother and creamier feeling. And so I doubt it lasts as long as the matte lipsticks, which do tend to last for quite a long time on the lips. But in terms of how it feels on my lips, I really kind of like it. So maybe I should look into getting some more colors in this one. Now the next one is the MAC Frost lipstick. This one is called Pink Power. So you can see this on up here on my hand. And I will throw this on really fast. does not have much color to it, but it does kind of put a little bit of a shimmer on top of what's already on my lips. So that could be something to consider. I haven't used this one very much yet, but maybe I should. And again, all of the lipsticks that I brought up so far, they all count as Clean at Sephora, Credo Clean, European Union, and EWG gives them like a 3 or a 4, which is a very good score. Now, the next one that we'll talk about is the Cremesheen Lipstick, and this is described as a creamy, balmy lipstick formula with a comforting feel, medium buildable coverage, and a semi-glossy finish. And let's put this on. It feels a little bit more hydrating than the matte lipsticks, and it tastes the same as the others. I don't see it being more of a problem. Here's the shade that I just put on my lips, which is called Fanfare. And this is a lipstick that I think is fine and that I might consider to buy more of them if there were colors that I liked. Now, the next product that I have here is the MAC Love Me lipstick, and this is described as a weightless argan oil infused lipstick that delivers an instant hit of powerful color and all-day moisture in a luxurious satin soft finish. And I have this shade in the color Sakura, which is the second one on here. Now, I really like the feeling of this lipstick. I think that this is very creamy and hydrating. The thing about this lipstick, though, is that because it includes this oil in it, MAC has put in a fat preservative, which is BHT. So BHT is a food preservative that you may see in many different kinds of foods that you might have see in the supermarket. It is approved for use in foods, but it's something that some people consider to be problematic. I consider it to be not that problematic when it's used in products that are not used on my lips. When it's used on lipstick, I feel that it's somewhat more problematic. On one hand, the fat may go rancid, and rancid fat is not a very good thing. And on the other hand, BHT is a chemical that is not considered to be entirely safe either. So if you've got a product like this one that has a lot of oil in it, then you have to kind of pick your poison, so to speak. Now, the next product is the Powder Kiss lipstick. And this one is described as a weightless moisture matte lipstick that delivers a blur of soft focus color. So I have this product in the shade Sheer Outrage, and I'll put a little bit on. So this lipstick is fairly matte, but it's a little bit less drying than the regular matte lipsticks, and it's a little bit lighter. Unlike the other MAC lipsticks, this does not have vanilla in it. It has unspecified flavor, and usually that's a real no-no for me. I usually really detest any kind of flavor that's not specified in terms of what kind of flavor it is, but in this case it's really seems to be not that bad, so I was really surprised about that. It also has saccharin in it, sodium saccharin in it, which I think is also something that I would have expected that I wouldn't like in a lip product, because I certainly don't like it in soft drinks, but it really doesn't taste all that bad, and I think it's a really pretty lipstick. So now we've reached the end of the bullet lipstick. So the last one that we have is the MAC Retro Matte Lipstick, which is described as a long-wearing lipstick formula with intense color payoff and a completely matte finish. So the most popular lipstick, and the main reason this formula seems to still be out there, is because of a famous matte shade called Ruby Woo. So let's put a little bit of this on. So I had anticipated that I wouldn't be able to wear this at all because I don't feel like I do all that well with bright red lipsticks. So despite the fact that everyone is supposed to wear this shade, that it's kind of a blue-red shade that's supposed to be universal, I was pretty skeptical about it, but I actually like it a lot better than I thought that I was going to. So you can look at this on my hand here. Now, if you like this shade, but you don't like this retro matte formula, now they have a variety of ruby, different kinds of similar shades to the ruby product, but in all different kinds of matte products. So if you're interested in this shade, you don't have to get it in this matte formula anymore. I had been kind of suspicious as to whether or not I would be okay with this particular lipstick formula, but I think it's been all right for me. I don't think it's been a problem. It does have clay in it, and so it does tend to dry the lips out pretty thoroughly if you wear it for more than just a minute or two. So I probably would be interested in getting this shade in one of the other products like the Love Me lipstick formula. But in general, all of the MAC bullet lipsticks are quite clean, and I think that most people probably would be able to feel that they were just as good for them as other kinds of clean lipstick formulas, provided that they don't mind there's vanillin in them. And a lot of people do dislike vanillin, and I'm not that crazy about it myself. Now that Ruby Woo lipstick is so bright that it's almost impossible to get off the lips. It stains for quite a long time. So even after the lipstick wears off, you're going to still see color on there. So I'm going to have to put the next one on top of it. The next one that I have here is kind of a riff on the bullet lipsticks. So the tall, slim lipsticks are in fashion now, particularly if they're on the matte side. So MAC has made a new one, which is called the MAC Powder Kiss Velvet Blur Slim Stick. And this product is described as a moisture-infused lipstick that provides 12 hours of on-trend mega bold color and ultra-weightless wear in a single velvet soft swipe. So this lipstick has sodium hyaluronate in it, which is a hydrator, and then it also has the kaolin clay in it, so that dries out your lips. So between the two, it kind of gives a reasonable amount of moisture to the lips so that it doesn't feel terribly dry. So let's try this on. This is actually the lipstick that I was wearing at the beginning of this video, and the shade name is Stay Curious, so it's a pinky red type color, and I'm kind of surprised that I can wear this one also. I really like the way this feels on my lipsticks, probably on my lips even more than most of the other ones. It has the vanillin flavor rather than the unspecified flavor to it, so some people might like this better for that reason, or worse for that reason. But in general, I'm really interested in this product, and I think that I might do a video coming up soon where I take some of these various slim stick products, including there's a new one from NARS that I like. That's pretty clean. There's one that's from Say Beauty, and take several of these lipsticks and compare them to one another and see if we can figure out which ones might be good for which purposes. So the next product that I want to talk about is the MAC Glow Play Lip Balm. And this is described as a nourishing lip balm that combines color plus care for a tinted shine with a good for your lips ingredients. So this contains unspecified flavor as well as a variety of artificial colors. And let's try this on. Now I think this is a really pretty lipstick, but I think it tastes just terrible. It tastes more like it has perfume in it than it does some kind of, non-specified flavor. So I have not worn this at all, and I don't think that I want to. And I'm not sure if other people object to it or not, but I don't. This is a real disappointment for me, because if it weren't for that perfume-like flavor, I think it would be really pretty, and it certainly is hydrating. Now next, MAC makes 3 different formulas of liquid lipstick, and the first one is the Powder Kiss liquid lip color. So I put this color, which is called Sorry Not Sorry, on my hand, and I'll put a little bit of this one on my lips. Now, I have to admit, I'm not a big fan of liquid lip color. Certainly not because most of the ones that I have tried have not felt good to me at all from a toxicity or unpleasantness sort of reason, but also I just don't necessarily like the way that they perform for me. But I think this one's pretty nice. It has that usual vanilla flavor to it. It's described as a liquid lip color with a whipped mousse-like texture that delivers soft focus, moisture matte, comfortable color with 10 hours of hydration. And I do think this feels fairly hydrating on my lips, and it kind of gives my lips a look that they're a little bit more plump than usual, maybe. So some people would like that. In terms of the ingredients, this has actually a pretty clean ingredient list. So I think that this is, of the liquid lipsticks that I've used, this one is one that I like a lot better. So I might actually get some use out of this. I kind of like this Sorry Not Sorry color. Now the next two I dislike enough in terms of the flavor that I'm not even going to put them on. So the first one is the Love Me lip color. And I will swatch it on my hands. This color is Hey Frenchie. So that's the second one on the bottom. And the description of this reads, a hydrating argan oil infused and shea butter infused, rich and creamy lip color that with a satin finish that wears for 12 hours. And this one has a variety of problematic ingredients in it, including petrolatum, unspecified flavor, phenoxyethanol, a bunch of different synthetic colors, the synthetic vitamin E, titanium dioxide, and then it also contains saccharin. So I don't like this product at all, which is why I'm not going to put it on. It does have a pretty look to it. Kind of has a kind of almost like a vinyl type look to it, but I just simply didn't have a good experience with it. Nor did I have a good experience with this other one, which is called the Retro Matte Liquid Lip Color, and I have this one in the shade Ruby Woo also. And again, Ruby Woo is a nice color, but this particular product, let's see. It has unspecified flavor, petrolatum, silicone, a cyclic silicone, titanium dioxide, and then an ingredient that's not specified by EWG in terms of having any background in it, which is called glyceryl B-enate icosahexaenoate. I don't know anything about that at all, and apparently no one else does either, so I'm not sure why we're putting it in products if we don't have any idea of whether it's okay or not. But in any case, I found this to be a really kind of objectionable product in terms of how it felt and tasted to me, and I had to remove it from my lips right away the day that I used it, so I won't be buying that one again. But I do really like the Powder Kiss liquid lipstick, so that was a real surprise for me. Now, next is a product that I remember pretty well from back in the around the turn of the millennium when I was using MAC products on a regular basis, and this is the MAC Lip Glass, and I have this in the shade Love Nectar. So let me put a little bit of this on my hand. You can see that at the bottom there, and I will put a little bit of it on my lips. Now, whether or not they have reformulated this product since I used it back in the late 1990s, I am not sure. But it still has that feeling of being very thick and very shiny, and it definitely has a lot of the vanilla in it. So for me, this is not really the kind of look that I'm looking for right now, but in terms of how it feels to me, I don't have a particular problem with using it. It has a bunch of synthetic colors in it. It has phenoxyethanol, it has vitamin E, and some titanium dioxide. But compared to other lip glosses from other companies that I have used, the ingredients list looks fine, and I feel okay about using it in terms of how it, in terms of the sort of toxicity, annoyance type issues. I just think it's too thickened, and also a little too fragrant for me. This is a very strong vanilla flavor. And then if you want a product that's even thicker and even shinier, then this MAC lip glass in the clear color, which comes in this little tube, could be right up your alley. For me, if I put on even a teeny tiny little bit of it, it seems to be kind of overwhelmingly sticky to me. So I would not want to have this product. The thing that I read about it in the user reviews is that people really like the product and they want that sticky, shiny feeling, but that they're frustrated with it because when they put this tube in their purse, then the cap comes off and the product leaks all over their purse. So if you're looking to take this on the road with you, this would not be a good product to use. If you want to just keep it on your dresser at home, it might be okay. Now the last lip product that I have tried that's from MAC is their MAC lip pencil, and this, like most lip pencils that are out there, is a quite clean product. I don't have any concerns about this at all. In general, I think that lip pencils, particularly for women as they get older because their lip line is a little bit less defined, that if you're going to be wearing a lipstick like the MAC matte lipstick, for instance, that putting a lip liner under it or on top of it to kind of just hold your lip in place and keep the lipstick from floating outside your lip line, it can be a good idea. And I do think it looks that if I want to use these MAC matte lipsticks, that if I start out by putting the lip primer on the top and then I put the lip liner on and fill in my lips, and then I put the lipstick on top of that, and then maybe put a little dab of some kind of gloss, although probably not this matte gloss, which is too sticky for me, that creates a lip look that lasts for a very long time and that does look very nice on me. So I'll put a little bit of this lip pencil on right now. I have this in the shade Spice, I think. And then I'll put a little bit of this lipstick in the shade Velvet Teddy, which is a matte lipstick, on the top of that. So let's do that real fast. Now, of course, the other thing you could do with the lipstick, with a lip liner, is to overline your lips so that your lips look a little bigger than they really are. I don't really have a lot of interest in doing that. I'm not looking for that kind of a look, but I do like to see that my lips look neat rather than having the lipsticks get outside my lip line. So I think a lip liner is worth putting on for that reason. Okay, so that is it for the lip products that MAC makes, and I think that we've covered pretty much all of them. So let's move on to the eye products. Now, the eye products are a little more challenging because almost all the eye products list items on the ingredient list that could be real problematic or actually deal killers, but I thought that I would talk a little bit about them anyway, just because I think that some of these eye products have worked well for me and that they are certainly popular among other people as well. So as I say, the products that have carbon black in them, which are most of the mascaras and some of the other products, are ones that I'm not willing to talk about. I don't think those probably should be on the market anyway. And then the products so the second thing is that there's a number of products that are list aluminum powder, which I do think is a problem, but that list it in the may contain ingredients list. So among these are the MAC paint pots, which I have used for quite a while and which I actually do like quite a bit. So these are cream eyeshadows, and I'll show you two of the ones that I have right now. One is in the shade Painterly, which is sort of like a base shade that you can use as a primer for your eyes. And the other one is in a shade called Vintage Selection, which is a kind of a frosty type peach shade, dirty frosty peach shade that I kind of like as a highlight for my eyes. And I feel like both of these have been okay for me, but again, it lists the aluminum powder. So I did write to MAC, and when you write to MAC, you're actually writing to the Estee Lauder Corporation, and I asked them, I gave them a list of some of the products that I was interested in from the MAC paint pots, and asked them which ones of them had aluminum in them. So the ones that I asked about were the shades Painterly, Bare Study, Groundwork, Vintage Selection, Laying Low, Soft Ochre, Contemplative State, Born to Beam, and Bougie, which are most of their neutral shades, and then a couple of the other popular shades that are in there, what seems to be their more permanent line of colors. And so after a while, they wrote back to me. It took a couple weeks, and they told me that none of those shades had any aluminum powder in them. So therefore, I feel that I understand why it is that the products that I've used from MAC have not annoyed me in terms of the paint pots, and I feel okay about continuing to use them. So I thought that I would let you know about that in case this is a product that you're interested in as well. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are the MAC powder eyeshadows. So the issue with these is that they do contain talc. Now, if we think about why we don't want to have talc in products, it's primarily because of talcum powder that people use in large quantities when they're getting dressed. So you get out of the bathtub and then you take a powder puff and then you put a whole lot of powder puff talcum powder all over your body, maybe in terms of like it making a big cloud of powder, and then you breathe that in. And if it's contaminated with asbestos and you do it on a daily basis for 20 years, then you may inhale enough of the asbestos for it to have a negative effect and cause you lung problems. All right. Now, in addition, I saw recently a documentary on HBO Max where a woman said that she had gotten mesothelioma and she was blaming it on an eyeshadow kit. And this was a really inexpensive eyeshadow kit sold by a mass marketer. And she said that when she was a child that she would take this eyeshadow kit and that she would really dig into it. It would make a big powder cloud, and that she would breathe in this, and she did this on a regular basis because she was really having fun with it. And so she couldn't figure out any other way that she might have gotten exposure to asbestos, so she was blaming it on this eyeshadow kit. And then after a while after that, then this down market retailer removed all the talc from their eyeshadow kits. So I think that there is some argument that something like eyeshadow could deliver enough of this powder to the lungs that if it were contaminated with asbestos, that it would be a problem. But in general, when I just put on some of this eyeshadow today, I really think that there was almost no powder that was stirred up, that the fallout, and these particular MAC shadows was very low. So while I'm not really enthusiastic about the idea of going out to buy more MAC shadows, I don't feel that using this product on an occasional basis in a careful way is probably causing me any substantial harm. Until about a year ago, the eyeshadows that were on the market that did not include talc were really quite difficult to use. And so I could certainly see why a lot of makeup professionals or individual consumers would not want to use those particular powder shadows. Now, I was just as happy using cream shadows myself, but for those people that like to take an eyeshadow palette and create a dramatic look, the eyeshadow formulas that were out until very recently were very difficult to work with and kind of frustrating. The other thing about MAC is that they have these make your own palette things where you can choose. So in this case, I chose four colors that I thought were particularly attractive for me, and put them in this little palette, and then you can buy little refills and change it. So in terms of having flexibility, which certainly makeup artists are interested in, and other people are too, MAC has a lot more of that than most brands that are out there. So I could see why people might want to continue to not only use their existing MAC eyeshadows, but actually buy new MAC eyeshadows just because of the functionality of the products. Now, more recently, I think it's been the case that there have been brands that have released really what I consider to be excellent eyeshadows that don't contain any talc and that perform just as well in terms of applicability and blending as the MAC shadows do. So among those brands, I think Mob Beauty, which is a brand new brand that's available on Credo, that's founded by one of the original founders of MAC, and one of the original prominent makeup formulators for MAC. So they're doing a similar thing where you can pick your own eyeshadows and make your own palettes, as well as choose your own blush and put those in the palettes. And I think that those products have been really outstanding for me. So I think I need to do a whole video on this Mob Beauty because I really like them. So that would be an option. And there's been a few other companies that, although they're not offering that kind of functionality, that the eyeshadow formulas themselves, I think, have been really, really excellent. So these have included Jones Road, Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows have been terrific, and I've really also liked the new Jane Iredale eyeshadow palettes, which I think are really quite outstanding. So I think there's less of an argument right now that we need to be going to a company like MAC in order to get good eyeshadow palettes. And I also think there's less of an argument for MAC that they should continue to use talc in their eyeshadow palettes because they want to create high performance formulas when other companies that are out there are creating performance eyeshadows that are working just as well or better than the ones with the talc in them. So hopefully they'll make some changes because I do think that MAC is, compared to the other Estee Lauder companies especially, they do tend to be more focused on being up to date and delivering to consumers what they want. Now I also have one MAC eyeshadow eye pencil. This is in a discontinued color called Pine for Me, and it's been fine. I haven't had any problems with it irritating my eyes, which I think I probably would if it had aluminum powder in it. But again, for these eye pencils, aluminum powder is one of the ingredients that it says it might have in it. So I seem to have been unable to get MAC to reveal to me which eye pencils have aluminum powder in them and which one don't. What happened the last time that I wrote to them about this is that they just gave me a lecture that aluminum powder was safe because it had been used in cosmetics for so long, which I don't think is a good reason, and they never gave me information on the shades. But it could be that if you have a shade that you particularly like or that you already own, that if you write to MAC, you might be able to get that information, and I'd like to get it eventually anyway. Now, by the way, MAC does make a number of other eyeshadows, but again, all of those have aluminum powder on the may contain list. So I don't know that every shade would be a problem, but they make, really pretty things like Dazzle Shadow or whatever. So it would be nice if we knew which ones of those had aluminum powder and which ones didn't, but it's quite an ordeal to try to get information from the Estee Lauder Corporation about which shades are more problematic than others. I wish that they would make it easier. All right, another eye product that some people might want to consider that seems to be pretty popular is the MAC LiquidLast 24-Hour Waterproof Liner. And this product actually doesn't seem to have too many ingredients in it that are problematic. I would buy this and try it, except that I have not ever experimented very much at all with liquid eyeliners. So that's been a deterrent for me. But if you like liquid eyeliners, then this actually could be something that would work. MAC also has a eye base that they make, which is called the MAC Prep Plus Prime 24-Hour Extend Eye Base. Now for this one, I have not been interested in this one because I usually like to have an eye base on my eyes that is like flesh colored so that it colors the discoloration on my eyelids. I also have very sensitive eyelids, so therefore I try to avoid anything that I think could be problematic. It contains talc, but this is in a cream formula, and so therefore it's considered to be much less problematic, at least by EWG, than if it's in a powder product because you couldn't breathe it in. If you are interested in an eye product and you don't have really sensitive eyes, then I don't think this is one that you necessarily need to avoid, but it does have that PEG in it, and it does have talc in it, which is also a little bit of a concern. So I would consider this one to be marginal. It wouldn't be my choice in terms of eye primers, but if you're already using it and you're not having problems with it, I wouldn't necessarily feel that it's mandatory that you get rid of it and throw it away either. Now, in terms of MAC's brow products, to my recollection, the reason that I didn't put them in here is because all of them have listed carbon black on the may contain list. Now, I think that's a little bit odd. And I would certainly think that for a shade that's like for what I would want to wear, probably they wouldn't want to put in something that black. But on the other hand, trying to get information from MAC that it doesn't have stuff in it is so difficult that I just haven't worked on those. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't be wearing those products, especially if you can find out that it doesn't have the problematic ingredients in it. They do list a brow set product. Now, I don't have enough eyebrows that I need to have anything setting them. I need to fill in my brows instead. But if you do want to use a clear brow gel to set your brows, then this could be one to consider because it has an ingredient rating that everybody considers to be perfectly clean, although it does have alcohol denat in it. So if you don't want to put alcohol on your eyebrows, then that would be something to avoid. But other than that, this particular ingredient list looks pretty clean. So finally, let's talk a little bit about MAC's face products. So one product that I've used quite a bit is this one, which is a little concealer in a tiny little pump. And this is called the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. And I use this for quite a while to conceal the dark circles under my eyes. And I purchased this in a shade that's kind of on the pink side, which was recommended to me by an online MAC representative as a color corrector, and I think it worked actually quite well. The ingredient list is actually quite good. It really just has the synthetic colors in it and some dimethicone, but otherwise the ingredient list looks really good to me, and that's what they recommended to me when I said that I was interested in something that was not going to irritate my skin. Now for MAC, this shade that I used is NW25. Now MAC has a kind of a screwy color system, which you may know if you've used MAC foundations before, where the warm is equivalent to a pink type of a color and cool is equivalent to a yellow type of a color. So this is a good way to confuse everybody. So probably if you're going to buy MAC foundations or concealers, it would be a good idea to go and talk to someone either at a MAC counter or at online because otherwise you may find it very difficult to choose the right shade. But I really do like this product. I would try it on for you, but it seems to have gone really oxidized by now. This is about 2 years old. But I would buy this product again. I think it did a nice job of covering it. It actually was gentle enough that I was able to use it on my eyelids, which tend to be very sensitive. Now, MAC also makes a concealer that comes with a wand, and that is called the MAC Studio Fix 24-Hour Smooth Wear Concealer. Now, that concealer is somewhat more problematic in terms of the ingredients, so this one is one that I think probably wouldn't work out as well for me, and that one I haven't tried yet. But it is something that you could try, especially if you want a concealer that goes on with the wand. Now, they have a third concealer that I'm actually really interested in, which is the MAC Studio Fix Conceal and Correct Palette. Now, this product is made specifically for makeup artists, but you get 4 different concealers and 2 different color correctors. And this is just a cream product that comes in a little palette. And I think that if you're a makeup artist, this could be a really good product. But I think even for me, it could be potentially useful because I could probably get use out of at least 2 of the shades of concealer, maybe at different times of the year or different parts of my face, and at least 1 of the color correctors. So I think this is a product that I'd be really interested in, particularly since the ingredient list looks good to me. Now, moving on in terms of foundation, most of MAC's foundations do have synthetic fragrance in them, so I haven't even bothered with those because that almost always is quite irritating to my skin. But there is one that I tried at a store, which is the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body. And this is a waterproof foundation. It goes on without a lot of coverage, but it does provide a very nice finish to the skin. It has a lot of silicone in it. And I thought that if, for my skin, it did make it look a lot smoother. It actually seemed to make my wrinkles look a lot less. If you had some kind of like pore issues, this might be a good foundation for you. And it's pretty popular, so I can see why people would like it. In terms of the ingredients, it has a few ingredients such as orange oil and farnesol and Fusanis spicatus wood oil that are, they're naturally derived ingredients, but I would have thought they would have had some potential to be annoying to my face, but I didn't have any issues with this product at all, either over primer or on its own on my face. However, I didn't end up purchasing this because what I found is that because it's waterproof, it sticks to your face in a way that I found impossible to get off. But this one, the oil cleanser, didn't really seem to work, and even just like scrubbing it with a physical exfoliant, it felt like my skin didn't feel like my skin for a few days after I wore this particular foundation, and I don't really like to have things on my face that I can't get off. But other than that, this is a lovely foundation, and if you really want something that's waterproof, then this would be a good choice. So I can see why people like it, and it does have a good reputation. Another foundation that looks to me like it's probably similar to the last one, but just offering more coverage, is the MAC Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. So that has not quite as many problematic ingredients in it. It doesn't have those scented ingredients, but it does have some other problematic ingredients in it that could be bothersome to some people. Again, I think that probably for me, since I was able to tolerate the other foundation, I'd probably be able to tolerate this one too. But again, this concept of waterproof may not be the best strategy for me. All right, the next one, so now they have a couple of sort of compact foundations. So they have one that's called the MAC Studio Fix Tech Cream to Powder Foundation. And this one has a few problematic ingredients in it also. I haven't tried that one yet, but I think it could be a possibility if that's the kind of foundation that you like. And then the MAC Full Coverage Foundation. This one makes me a little nervous because it's a compact foundation and it doesn't have any silicone in it. So what I tend to find is that those kinds of foundations usually emphasize my wrinkles a lot, but I would be interested in trying it. And maybe sometime when I go to a MAC counter, I would be willing to give that a try. And that doesn't have any ingredients in it that look problematic except for the synthetic colors. So I think that I will try to seek that out at some point. So in terms of powder blush and powder highlight, MAC does carry a number of items like that, but almost all of the ones that they carry are based on talcum powder. However, they do have a fairly new product, which is called MAC Extra Dimension Blush. And this is a quite shiny blush. This is the color Just a Pinch, which I think is like an apricot shade. And it actually is shiny enough that it's sort of like a colored highlighter. So I'll put a little bit on so that you can see. You can see how shiny that is. But it hasn't bothered my face at all. I haven't found that it's been annoying or caused any issues. So if you like that kind of look, I think that this blush and then the highlighter is very similar. I tried this in the store. It's even more shiny. But otherwise, it's a very similar formula. And I think that both of these are formulas that have worked fine for me in terms of not irritating my skin. So that could be worth a try. I see that they also have squalane in them, so they would be kind of on the hydrating side. So I think that's kind of nice. Now, MAC also makes a pen highlighter, which is called the MAC Prep Plus Prime Highlighter. I haven't tried that at all. I see that it has Laureth 7 and a PEG dimethicone in it, so that would make it ineligible to be sold at Credo or clean at Sephora. But other than that, it doesn't look like it has a really problematic ingredient list, so I would be interested in possibly trying that at some point. And so now let's talk about primers, and I've tried 2 primers from MAC. The first one is this Prep Plus Prime Natural Radiance. So this is a silicone-free primer, and it actually comes in 2 different colors. One is slightly tinted yellow, and one is slightly tinted pink. And it provides just a little bit of radiance to the skin. So it's a little bit glowy. It's a tiny little bit of a shade. I didn't feel that it was bothersome to my skin at all, but on the other hand, I'm not a person that uses primers too often, so I haven't felt any need to go and actually get it. MAC also makes a product called Prep Plus Prime Skin, which is a silicone-based primer that I have tried. And this one I didn't have any issues with it at all. I had the makeup artist put it on underneath the foundation that I tried, and it didn't, neither side bothered my skin at all. So overall, this has some ingredients that at least Credo considers to be problematic, but for me, I didn't have any issues with it. And if I were interested in buying looking at different silicone primers, then it might be one that I would consider. So that is all the MAC products that I have to discuss. I hope that this has been helpful to you. Again, if you are interested, I have a whole article summarizing all this material on my website, so you can go and find that. I hope that you also will consider signing up for my YouTube subscription if you have enjoyed this video. Look at the camera. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. And Coco and I love you very much. Say goodbye, Coco. Say goodbye, Coco. Say goodbye.